Writers love backstory. Audiences love presence. And that is an important difference. A writer will often think, I need to explain this character. The audience may be thinking, no, please don't. I already like him. Not every mysterious character needs an origin. Not every cool figure needs childhood trauma. Not every silence needs a monologue. Sometimes the reason a character works is because the audience cannot fully possess him. Mystery creates emotional space and revelation collapses it. This is a trap. Writers confuse explanation with depth. They think if they explain where the character came from, the character becomes richer. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes explanation just turns a myth into a resume. A character can be deep because of what they do. A character can be deep because of what they refuse to say. A character can be deep because of how others react to them. A character can be deep because they feel like they walked in from another story, from another world that we are never going to fully hear or understand. Before explaining a character, ask yourself, writer, what makes this character interesting right now? Is it their backstory? Or is it their behavior? Is it their silhouette, their reputation, their restraint, their effect on other people? If the power comes from mystery, please don't explain it away. I'm going to use Boba Fett as an example. Boba Fett is the perfect warning sign. In the original trilogy, Boba Fett barely does anything by ordinary screenwriting standards, but he looks dangerous. He says very little. He moves like he belongs in every dark corner of the galaxy. He stands near Vader, other bounty hunters, gangsters, and monsters, like this is just a normal workday. He doesn't need a speech. He doesn't need a tragic monologue. He doesn't need to explain himself. The audience fills in the blanks. There's a key line in the entire movie series when Vader says, "No disintegrations." That line does a ridiculous amount of work. It shows that Vader knows him. It shows that Vader knows what he does. And Boba Fett has a reputation. He's done ugly work before. And he's dangerous enough that even Darth Vader has to give him specific instructions. And that one line creates 1,000 imaginary stories. The movie does not have to tell them. The audience does the work. The practical lesson for a writer is to give the audience implication, not a full report. One strong line can do more than 10 minutes of backstory. A warning from another character can build a reputation fast. A reaction can be stronger than exposition. You do not need to tell us the character is dangerous if the room behaves like he's dangerous. Instead of saying he was the most feared bounty hunter in the sector, show the bartender stops talking, the sheriff leaves, the villain smiles at everyone but not him. Someone says, just don't let him do what he did in Abilene. Then you do not need to explain Abilene, yet or at all. Let the audience wonder. What went wrong with Boba Fett is when the prequels explained him. He's a clone. Jango Fett is his father. We see him as a child. We learn where he comes from and where the armor comes from. And none of that is automatically bad, but it made him less mysterious, didn't it? He stops feeling like a dangerous figure from the edge of the galaxy. And he becomes labeled and filed away neatly in a Star Wars filing cabinet somewhere. His origins explained, his father's explained, his childhood is explained, his armor is explained, his mystery is reduced. The prequels did not make Boba Fett unusable, but they made him less interesting. I think Boba Fett kind of survived explanation from the prequel trilogy, but he didn't benefit from it. The audience built a myth, and the explanation gave us a resume. And then we come to the Book of Boba Fett. The Book of Boba Fett goes even further. It does not just explain him, it domesticated him. It gives him local politics, management problems. It softened his personality, kind of gave him a redemption style arc, and for crying out loud, he kept walking around with his helmet off. I don't know what they were thinking. That might be a story. There's some debate about that, but it's not the same. The original Boba Fett felt like a dangerous man from a larger, unknown, darker part of the universe. The show just made him familiar, and familiarity is not the same thing as depth. They turned the galaxy's coolest background menace into a middle manager that didn't even bother to wear his helmet. You don't assume that the audience wants private access to every mysterious character. That's a bad lesson for writers. Some characters work better at a distance. Some characters should be seen through action, rumor, fear, silence, and consequence. And if you bring them too close, they might shrink on you. Let me give you a successful example. The Man with No Name. He works because he is behavior, image, and implication. He's got the cool hat, he's got the poncho, he's got the squint, the silence, the confidence, the moral ambiguity, the way he watches before he acts, the sense that he just came in from another story that we're never going to fully hear or understand. What we don't need is to be made aware of his childhood. We don't need to know about his trauma. We don't need the first time he ever picked up a gun, and we don't need to know where he got the poncho. We do not need his private thoughts explained. We don't need the episode where he became the Man with No Name. God help us if somebody ever gives the Man with No Name the Book of Boba Fett treatment. The fastest way to kill that character is to explain what he's thinking and what he's feeling and where he bought the poncho. The reason why the Man with No Name works is he's not empty, and that's important. The mystery doesn't mean that there's no character. He has character, he has behavior, he has choices, he's got style. He has a code, even if we don't get a lecture about it. He is not memorable because we understand everything about him. He's memorable because we understand just enough. A mysterious character still needs clear behavior, clear competence, clear pressure, clear choices, a strong visual identity, a recognizable rhythm. Mystery is not an excuse to write a blank character. A blank character is boring. A restrained character is interesting. It's a big difference. So some practical advice for some writers out there, including myself: build the character from the outside first. What does the audience see? How does the character enter the room? How do other people react? What does the character wear? What do they carry? What do they avoid saying? What do they do under pressure? What line or image sticks in the mind? Use reputation instead of biography. Reputation is story fuel. Biography is just information. It's info dumping. Information can be useful, but it's not automatically dramatic. Let other characters react to the mystery. Let people argue about what the character did. Let rumors contradict each other. Let the audience sense a past without being handed the whole damn family tree. Let behavior reveal character. Do not explain his moral code. Put him through a situation where he has to choose. Does he take the money? Does he protect the weak? Does he shoot first? Does he walk away? Does he spare someone? Does he refuse to explain why? That is character. Keep some doors closed. You do not need to answer every question. Where does he come from? Why is he like this? What happened before? Why does everyone fear him? Sometimes one or two answers are enough. Sometimes no answer is better than a weak answer. Reveal only when the answer is stronger than the question. That is the real rule. Not never explain, not always keep mystery. The rule is the answer stronger than the question? If yes, reveal it. If not, leave it alone. Mystery versus confusion. Mystery is not confusion. Do not use mystery as an excuse to be vague. Mystery means the audience understands enough to care, but not enough to fully own the answer. Confusion means the audience doesn't know what is happening or why it matters or why they should care. Mystery creates curiosity. Confusion creates irritation. Mystery says there's more here. Confusion says the writer doesn't know what he's doing. So here's a practical checklist for you. Before giving a mysterious character an origin story, ask, does this answer make the character more powerful? Does it make them more frightening? Does it make them funnier? Does it make them more tragic? Does it reframe their choices? Does it create new dramatic pressure? Does it make the current story better? If the answer is no, then don't explain it. The audience does not need it. You may want it as a writer. You might want to keep it for your private notes, but private notes do not always need to find their way onto the page. Backstory is not automatically depth. Lore is not automatically story. God, you don't need to strip mine lore for a story every time. Now, how do you apply this to your own writing? And how do I apply it to mine? This is advice I need to remember too. If I create a character that works because of mystery, I need to be careful not to over-explain them. I can know the backstory privately. In fact, that's probably a good idea if you have the backstory for this character. It keeps you on an even keel. But you can know what scarred them. You can know where they came from. But the audience doesn't need every piece of that. What the audience needs is a strong entrance, a clear presence, some memorable behavior, pressure, choices, and consequences. The audience does not always need the origin. Sometimes they just need the legend. Boba Fett shows us that what happens when mystery gets over-explained, and The Man with No Name shows us how powerful restraint can be. Both teach us the same lesson. Some characters are not memorable because we know everything. They are memorable because we know just enough. Mystery can create emotional space for the audience. Revelation collapses it. Explain only when the answer is stronger than the question. I hope this helps, and I hope you understand that this is advice that I need for myself, and I hope it helps you. And I thank you for listening, and y'all take care. Bye-bye.